the knobs on the side control the different colors of the organ, different sounds of the organ. You see these pipes in front of you, and this organ has 7,708 pipes. So the ones you see obviously are a very small fraction of the total of pipes. The guts of the organ is behind that facade that we see in front of us. And the taller a pipe is, the taller a pipe is, the lower the pitch. And the shorter a pipe is, the higher the pitch, obviously. And so the tallest pipes here are about 45 feet tall, and the shortest are about 3/4 of an inch. So basically it's the range of human hearing. Those short pipes, you're getting into dog range.
The puppies can hear it, but not us.
Right. I forgot to turn on the blower. So here it comes. So the sound is produced by air going through these pipes. The organs have been around for a long time, since Greek and Roman days. It's basically a big box of whistles. And on this organ, the key action is electrical. So I hit a key, and there's a computer that's figuring out what pipes should be sounding. And then an electrical signal is sent to a valve, and all of the pipes out in these pressurized boxes of air. And then, so when a valve opens, the air shoots up into the pipe and it sounds. And this all happens speed of light. And from my vantage point, it happens immediately. But obviously, the computer is having to figure out and compute what needs to happen. So the really short pipes, so we're getting it like there. And then the tall pipes here in front, we have, let's see. Well, we have two sets of pipes that are 45 feet tall, including these in front. And they sound like this. So that's the lowest pitch on the organ right there, which is more, it sounds more like an earthquake, really. Here's the other set of 32-foot or 64-foot pipes. So, I mean, really, it's helicopter or somebody who has having digestive problems. By itself, it's not very pleasant, but in the context of music, it's kind of like the thunder, you know, and that's the power chord hitting on the guitar. You know, it's like that kind of, if you're playing a loud piece of music and you have those really low pipes, you feel like you have power. So I'm always a little sad when I get to a smaller organ that doesn't have the tall pipe. I'm going to play for you. In 2 weeks or a week and a half, I'm playing on the choir's broadcast. The 3 full-time organists who rotate through who plays each Sunday. So my turn is coming up. On every broadcast, as we said, there's an organ solo. This is my solo, so you're my guinea pigs. We can control the lighting in the room from here. So I'm going to turn on our performance lighting. So it's the finale from the 6th organ symphony by this late 19th century French composer organist. His name is Vidor, Charles-Marie Vidor. Okay, here we go. vibrations.
Yeah.
It's fun. So all these keyboards, individual sounds. Some are meant for accompanying those individual sounds. And then when you're playing with the choir, you have to change the tone color or the dynamic really quickly. So you move your hands to the other keyboard. We also do a lot of forehand playing here. So like 2 organists on the bench. And so obviously then it's really, really nice to have all 5 keyboards so that you can have lots of different textures and colors happening at the same time. So organ pipes come in different shapes and sizes and are made of different materials. And the organ, in some ways, is trying to imitate the sounds of the orchestra. So we have a flute, or a trumpet, and then here's a clarinet, or a tuba. So when you're learning to play the organ, part of it is learning to mix the different pipes together to get the overall effect that you're after. And that takes some experience, and there are classes in it. But these little buttons underneath here are basically locations in memory. So I can pull out all the knobs, the different tone colors, and then I can save them in one of these locations. And you can see how, as I press the buttons, they're arranging themselves as I have saved them. Yeah, anyway, it's when you get to a big organ like this, it's kind of like Kid in the Candy Store because there's so much to choose from. And every organ is different. So you travel to a new town to play a concert and you have a different set of sounds, a different set of challenges. And you might be playing on this keyboard at home, but in the new place, you're playing here. So there's a whole choreography to learn. So whenever I play a concert out of town, I have to show up a couple of days in advance. So now I'm going to play something completely different. It's a piece. So I'll show you some of the strings and flutes, and you'll hear the English horn and the French horn and a variety of trumpets in it. And also you'll hear the dynamic range. So that piece, the first piece I played for you is basically just loud. But this, you'll get to hear kind of the scope of sound. And I think it's a fantastically beautiful piece of music. It has a very nondescript title. It's called Organ Hymn, which is a stupid name, I think. But I really love the piece. So here we go. Thank you. So you get a sense of like, there's a lot of possibilities, expressive possibilities on the organ. It is like a medieval synthesizer in some ways, but a lot of fun. So, any questions from you guys about what we do here, about the organ? Yeah.
You're like Fred Astaire with your can you explain a little bit of what's happening down?
Yeah, I should have mentioned that. Thanks for asking. So, we have 5 keyboards for the hands, and there's another keyboard you play with your feet first to make sure you're at the right spot, because you can't look down. I mean, it's not against the rules to look down. Then occasionally I will if there's time, and if I'm worried about getting something right, I'll take a peek and make sure I'm hitting the right thing. But there is a lot of just kind of like using the force, basically trusting your feelings and like where and your memory of where stuff is, and then you go for it and hope you're in the right spot.
I noticed you walked your feet.
Yeah, so you play with both your heels and your toes.
Yeah.
And so there is kind of especially if you're playing a scale, you might like this and then cross over with this and like this. Yeah.
Is there a difference in the depth of sound from the front to the back of those pedals?
No. So the pedals, in fact, all organ keys, it's either on or off. So where I'm hitting the pedals doesn't make a difference. It's just a keyboard. So, and on the organ, pipes are either on or off. If you play the piano, you would know that if you hit a key hard, it's going to be a louder sound, and you hit it softly, it's a softer sound. On the organ, you don't have that. And so if you want to have dynamics, then you either have to add more pipes so it gets louder, or take some away so it gets softer. Those of you who in a position to see may have seen I was manipulating these little kind of gas pedal things down here in the middle. There are parts of the organ that are in these, basically it's a big room, and one of the sides of that room has what are Venetian blinds. And so I can open and close the blinds with these little gas pedals. And so I'll show you what that sounds like. If I close the blinds for one section of the organ, I get that sound. And when I open the blinds, so that's a way to swell the sound or to make it diminish. And so it's another thing to do with your feet. You got to play the notes as well as manipulate these guys. So there is a lot of mechanism. So there is the playing with your feet, the manipulating the gas pedals, and then there's the button pushing. And so when you're getting ready to do a performance, I really do need time. Like if I'm going to play in here, I need time on this organ so that I'm accustomed to where the buttons are and how everything's going to feel, because you can't get that same feeling anywhere else on any other instrument. So it is kind of bizarre in that way. It's very instrument specific, or console specific. Yeah.
That was actually one of my questions when you said you had played at another location on their organ. How different are the two organs? And when you came here, how long did you have to practice to learn this particular organ at the level that you needed to be walking out in front of 21,000 people ready to play?
Yeah. So like I have given many concerts where I'll show up 2 days in advance, or maybe even the day before, and you have, a few hours day before, and then a chunk of time the next day, and then you hold your breath and do the concert. But I wouldn't say that I was comfortable. You're flying by the seat of your pants a little bit, but that's just the reality of the situation.
Heavy metal guitarists do that.
They do. But I think it was about a year before I really felt like I was comfortable on the organs here. One nice thing is that the Tabernacle across the street, where we also do our broadcast, the broadcast happens here and as well as in the Tabernacle, depending upon the time of year. The layout of consoles is very similar. I mean, they tried to make it as close as possible, so it's pretty easy to go from one to the other. The sounds are different, but at least the layout of like where the keys are and the buttons are is more or less the same, so that makes it easier. I played a concert at the Catholic Cathedral here in Salt Lake City on Friday, and I was the organist of that cathedral for 7 years, but I don't play there regularly, and it took me a little bit by surprise how different that organ is to what I'm accustomed to, and so it went well, but I was worried because it's unfamiliar. So yeah, it's a challenge playing on a different instrument. I mean, I imagine any instrumentalist, no matter what it is, if you're having to play on a rented instrument, the feel is different, the touch is different, and if you're really going to try to make music, it's going to be hard. So I obviously much prefer being on my home turf.
How important is the acoustics of the building with you playing?
Yeah, so it's huge, actually. The success of any pipe organ has a lot to do with the acoustics of the building. When I heard this building, the announcement that the church was going to build this building, I thought they'll just put a digital instrument because it's just so cavernous. I figured it would be so cavernous that a pipe organ wouldn't be able to make any impact. However, I'm so glad they didn't do that because the organ builder did a fantastic job, and he was flying blind a little bit because there's no other space like this, and he wasn't sure how big should the pipes be, what should the wind pressure be. But I mean, I think he was very inspired in the decisions that he made, and you can hear, like that the piece that I finished, the first piece I played when I played the last chord, this. There's a nice ring, which means that the sound is hitting the surfaces and coming back to us, which is what you want. If it went out and just got sucked up, that would mean that either the organ's not big enough, it's not loud enough, or it's not a good space for music. And so this building turned out so much better than anybody anticipated. The Tabernacle, we'll go, is the acoustics in the Tabernacle have been described as perfect. I don't know that there is such a thing as perfect acoustics. The remarkable thing about the Tabernacle is that you can speak without a microphone and be understood. And back when the Tabernacle was completed in 1867, there were no microphones, and the building's primary purpose was for the local residents to hear their religious leaders speak to them. And as you might imagine, before microphones, any sort of large public gathering was pretty frustrating if someone was trying to talk. And so they understood acoustics in only a very rudimentary way, and they did their best. But the fact that it turned out so incredibly well, to those who designed and built it, it was a miracle. And so you can speak without a microphone in the Tabernacle and be understood, but also music works really, really well. The Tabernacle organ, it sounds so awesome in that space. It's more of a cathedral acoustic in terms of probably 4 or 5 seconds of echo when you release a chord, but it's not like a cathedral in that if someone speaks, you can understand. Because in most cathedrals, you have the echo, but you don't have clarity, but the Tabernacle has both. So I think that's why people have called it perfect, but I don't know. I don't know that there is a perfect acoustic. Yeah.
You said this one was 7,700 some.
Yeah.
How big is the Tabernacle?
It's 11,623.
What's the biggest one you ever played?
The Tabernacle organ is the biggest organ I've played. So there are a few organs that are bigger than the Tabernacle organ, but I've never played it big. So, and I played a lot of places.
So when you travel to other countries, they have organs like this where you play?
I mean, they have organs.
Okay.
So, I mean, there aren't many like this.
Okay.
So I'm a serious Anglophile, and so I've done a lot of playing, especially in the UK, but some on. And I mean, this is a very American thing to have a gigantic organ in a gigantic space. There aren't places like that in Europe. And even like Westminster Abbey, or it's a wonderful instrument and a great place to make music, but the organ is probably half the size. But it is. I mean, the more pipes you have, the more tone possibilities you have. And so, as an accompanist or even as a soloist, it's fun to have more to choose from. So we're spoiled.
Are most performance organs built for the space? You don't just go buy an organ and put it in.
Yeah.
It's designed for the space typically.
Yeah. Organs are designed and built for space, as you said. So if you want an organ for a church or a place like this, you commission it, and then you wait for 5 years for it to show up. And they're expensive. And so for me, this is my job. The choir members are doing it as volunteers.
Okay.
And so I hope they'll keep me around. I'm just turned 55, so I've got another 10 plus years to do this, as long as they feel like I can do it. But yeah, choir members retire, but the music staff, we could stay until we feel we're ready, or until someone else feels we're ready.
So you're such a rarity. Do you, in your world, is there room to teach others, or is it
yeah,
curious?
I mean, there aren't a whole lot of organists, not as many as there used to be. My dad was a college music professor, and I grew up in upstate New York, and He taught at a small SUNY school where they had 2 organ professors when I was a kid. And by the time I graduated from high school, they had no organ professors. I think a lot of churches are going away from having full-time organ positions. A lot of churches need part-time organists, but they're hard to come by because just there aren't people learning. There's not a whole lot of incentive to learn the organ because there aren't jobs. So I feel fortunate to have been in a place and in places where I could have a full-time gig. Because I have, classmates who are piecing together a living with a part-time job here, a part-time job there, and lots of gigging on the side to try to make ends meet, and teaching too. And for that reason, so I mentioned my doctorate's in music history. I figured I'd be a professor because at least universities get benefits, and there are a lot of full-time music history professors. I didn't want to have to piece together a living. But I also got into music history because there are so few organ teaching jobs. I'm probably saying more than I need to say. But at any rate, yes, I am. There aren't many spots, and personally, I don't do any teaching, and that's our role here. All of us here on the staff, we have to sign all sorts of agreements, and one of them is that we're not going to do any moonlighting on the side. There was a time when the tabernacle organists, in order to make ends meet, had to do a lot of teaching on the side, and the level of play suffered a little bit. And so at some point they decided, okay, we're going to pay you guys more, but now we want you to focus your energies on the work of the choir. And so I do miss. I don't have a whole lot of human contact, so thanks for giving me the opportunity. But I do miss the teaching. And here in Salt Lake City, there's University of Utah has 2 organ professors. They're both part-time, but Brigham Young University to the south has a full-time organ professor. So there are people who are learning in the area. And I sometimes will give a coaching session on the side, but we have to call it that, and I can't charge for it because of my contractual agreement.
How many musical instruments do you play?
So obviously the piano and the organ. I played the trumpet all through school. And when I went to college, I stopped playing the trumpet. I still own a trumpet, and I picked it up. My fingers knew what to do, but my lips had forgotten. So, really, I only played the piano and the organ.
And how old were you when you started playing the organ?
I started on the organ at 14, but on the piano when I was 4. And I had the object of playing the organ as a 4-year-old.
Oh, wow.
And so, but you have to be tall enough to reach the pedal. So that's why I had to wait. When I was in 1st grade, I had made a poster of my favorite food and my favorite color and what I want to be when I grow up. And I said I want to be a tabernacle organist. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
yeah.
Where did you grow up in New York?
The town's called Potsdam,
Yeah, sure.
about 3 hours north of Syracuse.
I'm from New York.
Okay. Yeah, just a little college town. Did you have a question?
Yes. Does the choir director stand up there and you have to watch them and your music and listen and?
Yeah. So when it's just choir and organ, then the organ console lives here, and the choir director stands there. And it's not too hard to see the choir director. He's right there. I could see him, no problem. There's this little TV monitor here, and we don't need it when the organ console is up here. When the orchestra is here and all this has gone away, the organ console sits down there, and then you totally need the monitor because the console is in such a position that I'm looking basically at the choir. I can't see the conductor at all. And the distances are so great in here with the orchestra there that everyone relies on video and audio monitors in order to keep together. So without that technology, it would be pretty hard to make music in this big.
You're watching the conductor on that screen.
Yeah, when the console's down there. The console just got moved up here last week because we're getting ready for our general conference, which is coming up in a couple of weeks. But we don't need that for conference.
How long practice for the Christmas program that you put on every year?
Yeah, so the Tabernacle Choir will start rehearsing probably in the middle of October for it. Our music directors are both very, very fine composers and arrangers, and they do most of the arranging for the Tabernacle Choir. And every Christmas concert is custom made for the particular guest artists that we're going to have. And so I'm sure right now our music directors are very busy writing Christmas music, and the choir will start to learn that music. They write the choir parts first, our music directors, and then the orchestrations start trickling in. Usually the week of the Christmas concert. And so usually the week of the Christmas concert, I'm learning my music. Sometimes like the day before the first concert, I'm learning my music because I just got it. So we like to fly by the seat of our pants around here. But
Trust you.
yeah, I appreciate that trust. I'm glad they have that trust, but there are times when I'm cursing them when it's like difficult, very exposed, and I'm gonna have to do this on live TV. But
Well, increase your
I'm sorry.
That's cute.
with the Christmas special. How far in advance do you know who the star is going to be?
Yeah. So me personally, I find out when everyone else finds out. Like, so the choir will have a press conference in early October, and they'll say, "Here's who's coming." Right now, I have no idea who's coming. Occasionally, I'll get wind of who's coming beforehand, but they keep it pretty close to the vest until like all the contracts are signed, and then they want to have a press conference and manage the flow of information. So I think, I don't know if they know. I'm sure by now they know who's going to be here this year. Next year, I doubt they have a contract yet with who's coming next year, but they probably have an idea. And they try to work in advance, getting that together for who's coming.
Wow. You said all this goes away. Does it like push back into a wall somewhere? Or does it all get dismantled and taken someplace else?
So the choir seats, I am told they have been taken down and all this can go away. I've never actually seen it happen. I think it's happened maybe twice, and it was so much work they decided, let's not do that again. But it could happen. This goes away regularly. It will disappear in early October, and it will come back until March of next year. And if this is anything like this, it doesn't get pushed. It's not like bleachers. It's parts and pieces that have to be carted off and moved off stage. And there's a pretty big backstage and off to the side. All this stuff goes backstage and off to the side. There's space for it. Yeah.
Most musical instruments have to be tuned.
Yeah.
The organs have to be
Yeah. Organs are temperamental creatures, and every pipe has to be tuned individually, and changes in temperature and humidity make pipes go out of tune. And this building is pretty solid. The climate is pretty solid, but still gravity makes things sag and things have to be tuned. So we have 2 full-time technicians who take care of the organs here, which is like total luxury. When I was at the cathedral, we'd have the organ tuned a couple times a year, but there were big chunks of the year when the tuner wasn't going to be coming for a while, and you just have to live with problems or learn to work around the problems. So, which is kind of a drag. Here, if there's a problem, I just write a note or send a text, and it gets taken care of that day. So we're spoiled. I don't do anything on TV. I don't do anything that's televised with an iPad, because I have had my iPad decide to update itself in the middle of a recital.
Oh my God.
That's bad. So anything that's like high stakes, I use paper, and stuff can go wrong with paper too. But the iPad is really, really handy for a recital where the stakes are fairly low. For you guys who are nice, and many musicians in the orchestra here, they also use iPads, and they have a little Bluetooth pedal that they'll hit with their feet to turn the pages. I don't have that option because my feet are busy. And so the app that I use on my iPad, it takes advantage of the Face ID camera on my iPad. And so I move my mouth during the pages. So
You can move your mouth.
I'll show you. So like that. I just turn it. So let's see. So this way goes this way, it's forward, and this way is backwards.
Of course,
So it's nice for this way.
I thought that was like
Well, you're a kid looking at one.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose the technology may be out there that it could be listening to me, but I want it to turn like when I want it to turn.
That's what I was wondering.
And occasionally I'll have an accidental page turn if my face gets too involved.
There's a fly coming around.
Right. But you can always go the other direction. So I've never had a huge disaster happen to me. So yeah, it's pretty cool.